I just want to say I'm sorry. I can't apologize enough.
But mostly, I want to speak to you. You have remained silent, and you are not remorseful. I hope you receive the death penalty, and so does Mike. Just an inmate number. But to many of us, you will just be known as cop killer.
We have Mark Anthony Gonzalez, who is currently facing charges for murder in San Antonio, Texas. Gonzalez stands accused of the brutal murder of Bexar County Sheriff's deputy, Sergeant Kenneth Van. Sergeant Van, a committed veteran with 24 years of service in the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, was on duty responding to a shooting call when Gonzalez, driving alongside Van's patrol car, allegedly opened fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets upon him.
The bullets crashed through the other side of Sergeant Van's patrol vehicle. It rips the entire upper torso of him with a bulletproof vest providing no protection whatsoever.
Investigators were stunned when they uncovered that Gonzalez had fired at Van's patrol vehicle an astonishing 46 times. Of those shots, a devastating 26 found their mark, tragically ending Van's life on the spot. The scene was nothing short of a nightmare, with Van's patrol car left riddled with bullets, prompting alarmed motorists to immediately dial 911.
Patrol car stopped at a traffic light and firing 46 shots from an assault rifle.
Gonzalez's response to his sentence was equally shocking, revealing the extent of his attempt to evade justice. Throughout the trial, it became evident that Gonzalez had taken elaborate measures to conceal his involvement. He was apprehended at his residence, where law enforcement uncovered an assault rifle, a critical piece of evidence linking him to the crime. Further investigation revealed that the firing pin on the weapon had been intentionally modified, seemingly in an effort to distance it from the shooting. Despite efforts to obfuscate the evidence, the case against Gonzalez was compelling, with cell phone records placing him at the scene of the crime. Moreover, testimony from Gonzalez's friend provided damning insight, with his friend asserting that Gonzalez had confessed to the killing. Initially, Gonzalez's defense attempted to argue his mental instability, enlisting the testimony of a neurologist to support their assertion.
Suffering from a brain lapse, or lapse of consciousness.
Yet after an exhaustive competency hearing, any doubts about his sanity were dispelled. Despite this clarity, prosecutors remained unable to unearth a clear motive for the killing. In contrast, Gonzalez's defense contended that his judgment was severely compromised by drugs and alcohol on that fateful night.
When he hit that bottom step, he slipped and fell, and he knocked himself out. This is a well-documented neuropsychiatric phenomenon.
Prosecutors held a contrasting viewpoint.
Certainly this concussion would not have affected his ability to understand the nature of his actions at the time of the offense.
In court, the victim's family confronted the murderer for the first time. Sergeant Van's widow, Yvonne Van, movingly recounted her harrowing experience during the victim impact statement. The sudden loss of her husband left her shattered with feelings of helplessness and despair.
I will never have any more alone time with my husband, and my time now is truly alone in every sense of the word.
The jury convicted Gonzalez of capital murder and recommended the harshest penalty, the death penalty. As the sentence was delivered, Gonzalez remained impassive, showing no signs of emotion. For many observers, it was a fitting outcome for Gonzalez's heinous crime. However, this wasn't the sole instance of a convict displaying an emotionless reaction to their sentence. Another notable case is that of Daunte Morris. Meet Daunte Rashawn Morris, currently accused of a series of murders in Tampa, Florida. Morris entered the world on August 24, 1985, and his early years were anything but stable. Raised by a young mother, only 16 and grappling with depression, Morris also had to cope with the unresolved mystery of his father's murder, which occurred when he was a mere 2 years old. These difficult circumstances paved a challenging path for Morris. Between May 18th and June 8th, 2010, he initiated a spree of violence, ruthlessly killing 5 individuals. Among his victims were Derek Anderson and Rodney Jones, who met their untimely ends in incidents tied to drug activities. Yet the most horrifying events were still to unfold. On June 29, 2010, a harrowing situation emerged when Morris crossed paths with police officers Jeffrey Kokab and David Curtis. At the time, Morris was wanted for an outstanding check fraud warrant and was stopped due to the absence of license plates on his vehicle.
It is shot from the dash cam of Officer David Curtis, who pulls over a red Toyota for invalid tag.
Anticipating a problematic encounter, Officer Curtis sought reinforcement from his colleague, Kokab. Unbeknownst to them, they were on the verge of encountering a fate beyond comprehension. Armed with a pistol, Morris executed a chilling act, shooting both officers in the head before escaping. The harrowing moment was recorded by the dashcam, ultimately pinpointing Morris as the assailant. Morris's criminal activities were not solitary ventures. His aunt, Carolyn Riggins, an employee of the Tampa Police Department, was later discovered to have concealed vital information that could have expedited Morris's apprehension. The situation was further complicated by the involvement of Morris's girlfriend, Courtney Brantley. On the night of the officers' murders, Brantley served as the getaway driver. Her role in the crime resulted in a substantial 1-year prison term for fleeing the scene and hiding a deadly weapon. In the aftermath of the killings, an unprecedented manhunt unfolded. Over 1,000 officers and staff from 22 different agencies, including the FBI and ATF, were mobilized in search of Morris. Tampa witnessed its most intense search operation, with efforts including the inspection of 300 residences, deployment of thermal imaging helicopters, and the distribution of wanted posters across several states. The bounty for Morris's capture soared to an astonishing $101,000. His criminal history was extensive, spanning 14 pages with crimes ranging from auto theft to drug trafficking and even murder, underscoring his extensive criminal background. Finally, on July 2, 2010, Morris was captured at a law firm in South Tampa, putting an end to his violent rampage. The ensuing trials were riveting, especially when his former romantic interest, Ashley Price, stood as a witness against him in court.
Did he tell you that the officer had gone back to run his name?
Yes.
Did he tell you that he was afraid that he had a warrant?
Yes.
The spouses of the fallen officers, Sarah Kokab.
The strength of Sarah Kokab is incredible. One day after delivering a stillborn baby, she came to court.
And Kelly Curtis were also present in the courtroom.
Besides Tampa Police, Kelly Curtis, the wife of Officer David Curtis, sat nearby.
Morris received a conviction for the murder of Rodney Jones, resulting in a life sentence without the possibility of parole, along with an extra 25 years. Moreover, for the killing of the 2 police officers, Jeffrey Kokab and David Curtis, he was sentenced to death in May 2014.
That's count 1 for the first-degree premeditated murder of David Curtis. The court imposes a sentence of death. That's count 2 for the first-degree premeditated murder of Jeffrey Kokab. The court imposes a sentence of death.
Morris displayed no visible reaction when his sentence was pronounced. Humberto Delgado, who is currently standing trial for murder in Tampa, Florida. Humberto Delgado, Jr. is facing charges for the first-degree murder of Mike Roberts, a corporal in the Tampa Police Department. In August 2009, Humberto Delgado, Jr., a former police officer dealing with chronic knee pain, was navigating through the streets with a shopping cart filled with his belongings. His aim was to seek shelter at a veterans hospital in Tampa. However, his journey took an unexpected and tragic turn when he encountered Corporal Michael Roberts of the Tampa Police Department. In this notorious area known for shopping cart theft, Corporal Roberts observes Humberto Delgado with his cart full of belongings, sparking suspicion. Determined to investigate further, Roberts requests identification from Delgado, who presents his driver's license and a veteran ID card to establish his identity. However, Roberts remains unsatisfied and proceeds to search Delgado's shopping cart and backpack. Fearing discovery of the firearms concealed in his backpack, Delgado attempts to flee, but Roberts confronts him, deploying his taser, leading to a physical altercation between the two. Tragically, the situation escalates, culminating in Delgado fatally shooting Corporal Roberts in a moment of panic. The courtroom atmosphere becomes tense as the gravity of the incident sinks in, with emotions running high among those present. Throughout the trial, evidence and testimonies unfold, presenting a complex narrative of desperation and fear. The prosecution asserts that Delgado's actions were influenced by mental illness, calling upon medical professionals to testify to support their argument.
He wasn't thinking clearly. He wasn't able to make judgments. He wasn't able to weigh the good and the bad, the positive and the negative.
Emotion permeated the Hillsborough County courtroom as Officer Roberts' wife, Cindy, pleaded with the judge to prevent other families from enduring their tragic fate. With raw honesty, she addressed the perpetrator of her husband's murder, laying bare her pain and anguish.
But mostly, I want to speak to you. You have remained silent, and you are not remorseful. I hope you receive the death penalty, and so does Mike. Just an inmate number, but to many of us, you will just be known as cop killer.
Following nearly 6 hours of deliberation, the jury rendered its verdict: guilty. However, what stood out was Delgado's lack of emotion as the verdict was announced. Consequently, he was sentenced to the death penalty.
For the murder of Corporal Michael Roberts, this court sentences you to be put to death in the manner prescribed by law.
Yet this wasn't the sole instance where justice seemed to prevail for a fallen officer. Take the case of Quentin Smith, for example. This is Quentin Smith, facing multiple murder charges in Ohio. Quentin Smith is currently on trial in Franklin County Common Pleas Court for the devastating killings of 2 Westerville police officers, Eric Joring and Anthony Morelli. These officers tragically lost their lives while responding to a domestic violence incident in February 2018. The incident sent shockwaves through the entire community. Motivated by jealousy, Smith viciously assaulted his wife, Candace. When the officers arrived at the scene following a distress call, Smith callously took their lives while they were fulfilling their duty.
Officers Anthony Morelli and Eric Joring walked through the front door of this Westerville townhouse Saturday afternoon. Columbus Police Department contacts tell me Quentin Smith opened fire.
As if the murders weren't tragic enough, Smith's demeanor in court added another layer of heartbreak to the proceedings. Throughout the trial, emotions ran high in the courtroom. As the judge read aloud an email from the grieving Joring family, the courtroom fell silent. The poignant words of the Joring family resonated deeply as they expressed their profound pain and loss. They even conveyed a belief that perhaps God had spared Smith's life to give him an opportunity to seek redemption for his unforgivable actions.
Share a little bit from the Joring family email to me. They said, "We understand Mr. Smith was shot several times. Does he wonder why he's still living? We fully believe God spared him that day to give him time to repent for this awful crime. His repentance is honest and truthful. God will forgive him and welcome him into heaven."
Additionally, fellow officers took the stand to provide testimony during the court proceedings.
And I couldn't do anything for him. Officer Morelli was yelling and he was hit, so I moved over to him real quick.
Morelli was laying on the floor, holding himself up by his elbow. He looked up at it.
Despite the jury's inability to reach a unanimous decision on imposing the death penalty, Judge Richard Fry intervened and handed down a severe sentence. Smith was condemned to 2 life sentences without the chance of parole, along with an extra 26.5 years of imprisonment. Throughout the sentencing, Smith maintained a cold and silent demeanor, offering no words of apology or remorse. His stoic behavior in the courtroom hinted at his culpability in the tragic events. Smith remained impassive as his sentence was delivered. However, no matter how grim Quentin Smith's case appears, it pales in comparison to the case of Ashford Thompson. Here stands Ashford Thompson,
defendant in his statement and through his defense,
who's currently facing murder charges in Ohio. On the fateful night of Sunday, July 13, 2008, Tragedy struck in Twinsburg as Officer Josh McTarian, a dedicated member of the police force, lost his life during a routine traffic stop. It was around 2 a.m. when Officer McTarian initiated the traffic stop on Glenwood Drive. Thompson, then 23 years old, had parked in the driveway of his former home, catching the attention of Officer McTarian, who decided to investigate. Reporting the stop, Officer McTarian noted the loud music emanating from Thompson's vehicle. What unfolded next was nothing short of horrific. While Officer McTarian's loyal canine partner, Baggio, remained in the patrol car, Officer McTarian approached Thompson's vehicle. A few minutes later, he called for backup. Dispatch informed him that Thompson had a concealed handgun permit, but before Officer McTarian could react, chaos erupted. With Baggio barking from inside the locked patrol car, Thompson callously shot Officer McTarian not once, not twice, but 4 times in the head. The chilling sounds of gunfire were captured in a 911 call as fellow officers rushed to the scene, finding Officer McTarian lying on the ground. Shockingly, Thompson's driver's license and insurance card were found in Officer McTarian's front pocket. Officer McTarian, who hailed from Tallmadge and had served with the Twinsburg Police Department for 11 years, tragically left behind his wife, Holly, who was also a fellow officer at the time.
I didn't write anything down here because I don't really think that I can write my life down and tell these 2 women how they destroyed my life that day.
Thompson's actions were inhuman. His demeanor in court was even more chilling. In 2010, Thompson faced justice. A Summit County jury found him guilty of aggravated murder with additional specifications that warranted the death penalty. It was evident that he had intentionally taken the life of a police officer. The jury didn't hesitate to recommend the death sentence.
We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant, Ashford L. Thompson, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the offense of aggravated murder as charged in the indictment.
Officer McTarian's mother delivered an emotional statement in court, expressing the profound impact her son's loss had on her.
God has given me many gifts. One was my youngest son, Josh. The shot that took his life also took mine. My heart bleeds sorrow for grief, sadness, agony. You took my son's future. You took my future.
On June 23, 2010, Summit County Common Pleas Court Judge Eleanor Marsh Stormer upheld the jury's recommendation, confirming the death sentence for Thompson.
Concurs with the jury's sentence and hereby sentences Ashford Thompson to death.
When Thompson was given an opportunity to address the court, he tearfully offered his apology.
I just want to say I'm sorry. I can't apologize enough. Seeing me with a straight face is not because I just have no feeling or I just hate people. I'm just some kind of cold-blooded killer.
Thompson is awaiting his fate on death row at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution. He appealed, hoping to overturn the conviction and sentence, but the Ohio Supreme Court denied his plea. Thompson's reaction was dramatic. What are your thoughts on these cop killers? Make sure to leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Courtroom Chaos for more crazy courtroom moments.